Pope is safely and sound back at the Vatican. It is one bedroom studio apartment with a single light and a cot. I sort of feel bad for the guy. You're the Pope and you got a cot and a light.
Well, this is what he chooses to do.
This is what he chooses. So we're waiting to hook up with Francis Rooney, former U.S. ambassador to the Vatican, who has a story in U.S. News and World Report. Welcome to America, a recap of the papal visit. Francis Rooney, Mr. Ambassador, thank you, and thank you for joining us once again here on KTRS in St. Louis.
Well, thank you for having me on.
So overall, what do you think of his trip?
Well, I thought it was a very successful trip. I think he brought a lot of enthusiasm around the United States for the Holy See and for the Holy See's role in the world. I think he covered all the bases in one form or fashion. And from what I hear, he learned a little bit about our country that he didn't know, and about our free enterprise system and some of those things that might impede some of the more caustic comments he's made in the past.
What did he learn?
Well, I know that there was some information given to him by some of our leading cardinals in the United States about our free market system and how capitalism works in the United States. And I think he definitely had to be moved by the people that he saw, the enthusiasm that he saw, the crowds that he saw, and how well behaved they were, and how organized everything was. It's just totally different than his experience in Argentina.
It's really interesting. We perceive him through our prism of American Catholicism, American capitalism, American politics. And he looks at us through his prism that is not even close to what we're looking at him as.
That's exactly right. You know, he comes from an area where of liberation theology, of where the government and the elites don't really support the poor and have a safety net for them. And so the church has come up with doctrines to try to urge that and to help the poor. He spent his life working with the poor in Buenos Aires, and where you've got a pretty corrupt economic system down there of oligopolistic family businesses and large corporations that are in cahoots with the government. And so his perspective of things is just almost the opposite of what we think here, where we think that, you know, you can start businesses and be entrepreneurial and have opportunity to succeed.
His one major criticism, or one gaffe, if you will, if you want to call it that, was his meeting with Kim Davis. Was that mishandled? Was that misunderstood? What are your thoughts to that whole story?
No, I think he just wanted to cover all the bases. He met with her. He also met with some gay guy that he's known from Argentina. He went to a parish. He met with some homeless people. I think he just touched about every one of his major points of outreach.
But the criticism was that he denied meeting with her, or wouldn't confirm, and was somewhat coy in his meeting with her.
Yeah, I think the Vatican, the spokespeople got a little caught off base there and weren't ready just to face the music. You know, that it never works right when you try to do that.
Because he met with the sisters who were fighting Obamacare for the contraception clause, and that didn't cause any controversy. That's just what he believes, and that's sort of, he went to go meet with them, and no one had a problem with that. I'm with you. They just should have sort of admitted it and moved on.
It would have been more constructive to say, I'm going to meet with this person as a reflection of the need to allow conscientious objection to First Amendment issues. You know, that would have been a perfect answer, just like he did, as the one you just said, like he did with the Little Sisters, meeting with them about religious freedom.
Do you think, as a former ambassador, you're in an interesting position to answer this question, do you think his joint session of Congress, talking about the Golden Rule and doing for the greater good, do you think any of the elected officials in Washington heard him and might have been moved enough to change their ways in Washington?
I think I'd be pretty pessimistic about elected officials in this partisan era changing their opinions. In fact, just look at the travesty that happened with Speaker Boehner having to resigning because of the right-wing caucus. So they may listen, but I don't know that they've really heard all the message.
Pretty interesting times we live in. Francis Rooney, former U.S. ambassador to the Vatican, has a story in U.S. News and World Report about the recap of Pope Francis's visit to America. Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
You got it. 7:55 here, Big 550,